Have you ever wondered about the original story of Snow White? Forget the sweet, sanitized version you know. The tale told by the Brothers Grimm is far darker, a chilling story of vanity, jealousy, and brutal revenge. Let's journey back to its grim origins. In the dead of a German winter, a queen, sewing by an ebony window, pricked her finger. 3 drops of blood fell onto the pure white snow. She sighed, "I wish for a child as white as snow, as red as blood, and as black as this ebony frame." Her wish came true. She gave birth to a daughter they named Snow White, but the queen died shortly after, and the king remarried a woman of breathtaking beauty and a heart of ice. This new queen was consumed by vanity. She owned a magic mirror, and every day she would ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all?" The mirror always reassured her, "You, my queen, are the fairest of all." But as Snow White grew, so did her beauty. On her 7th birthday, the queen asked her mirror the same question, but the answer changed. "You, my queen, are fair, it is true, but Snow White is 1,000 times fairer than you." Rage and jealousy twisted the queen's soul. She could not tolerate a rival. She summoned the royal huntsman with a horrific command: "Take Snow White into the forest and kill her. Bring me her lungs and liver as proof." The huntsman, however, couldn't bring himself to harm the innocent child. He told her to run for her life and never return. To deceive the queen, he killed a wild boar and brought its organs back to the castle. The queen, believing she had triumphed, had them cooked and ate them, convinced she had consumed the very essence of her rival. Alone and terrified in the vast dark forest, Snow White wandered until she stumbled upon a tiny cottage. Inside, everything was small. A table set for 7, with 7 tiny plates, cups, and spoons. 7 little beds were lined up against a wall. Exhausted and hungry, she ate a little from each plate, drank from each cup, and finally found a bed that fit just right, where she fell into a deep sleep. This was the home of the 7 dwarfs who mined for gold in the mountains. When they returned, they found their home disturbed and a beautiful child asleep in one of their beds. They were enchanted by her innocence and let her sleep. In the morning, Snow White told them her tragic story. Moved with pity, the dwarfs offered her refuge. "If you will keep house for us," they said, "you can stay." Snow White gladly agreed, but they gave her a stern warning: "Never open the door to strangers while we are away." Back at the castle, the queen approached her mirror with confidence. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all?" The mirror's reply struck her like a bolt of lightning. "You, my queen, are fair, it is true. But over the hills where the 7 dwarfs dwell, Snow White lives, and she is 1,000 times fairer than you." The queen trembled with fury, realizing the huntsman had betrayed her. She decided to finish the job herself. Disguised as an old peddler, she made a poisoned lace bodice and traveled to the dwarf's cottage. She offered to lace Snow White's dress properly. Trusting the old woman, Snow White agreed. The queen pulled the laces so tight that Snow White couldn't breathe and collapsed, seemingly dead. When the dwarfs returned, they quickly cut the laces, and Snow White revived. They warned her again, more urgently this time. But the queen's mirror still declared Snow White the fairest. Consumed by rage, she crafted a poisoned comb. In a new disguise, she returned and offered to comb Snow White's beautiful hair. The moment the poisoned teeth touched her scalp, Snow White fell unconscious. Once again, the dwarfs arrived just in time, found the comb, removed it, and brought her back to life. They pleaded with her to be more careful. Now, in a final, desperate act, the queen created her most devious weapon, a beautiful apple, one half pristine white, the other a tempting, glossy red. The red half was laced with a deadly poison. Disguised as a peasant woman, she approached the cottage. Snow White refused to open the door, but the queen was clever. "You're afraid of poison, are you?" she said. "See, I'll eat the white half." She took a bite from the safe side. Tempted, Snow White reached out and took a bite from the poisoned red half. She fell to the ground lifeless. This time, when the dwarfs returned, they could not revive her. They wept for 3 days. Her beauty was so unchanged by death that they could not bear to bury her in the dark earth. Instead, they built a transparent glass coffin and placed it on a hilltop, taking turns to watch over her. A long time passed. One day, a prince riding through the forest saw the glass coffin and the beautiful girl within. He was instantly captivated and fell deeply in love. He begged the dwarfs to let him have the coffin. Reluctantly, they agreed. As the prince's servants carried it away, one of them stumbled. The jolt dislodged the piece of poisoned apple from Snow White's throat. She sat up, alive once more. The prince, overjoyed, declared his love, and Snow White, seeing his kindness, agreed to marry him. A grand wedding was planned, and an invitation was sent to a neighboring queen, none other than Snow White's wicked stepmother. Unaware of who the bride was, she arrived dressed in her finest when she saw that the new queen was Snow White. She froze in pure terror, but there would be no escape. As punishment for her crimes, iron shoes were heated in a fire until they glowed red-hot. The wicked queen was forced to put them on and dance. She danced and danced in excruciating agony until she collapsed and died. And so Snow White and her prince lived happily ever after with the 7 dwarfs as their loyal friends forever. This is the true, grim fairy tale, stark reminder of the destructive power of vanity and the brutal justice of a bygone era. If you enjoy diving into the dark origins of classic stories, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.